Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Saskatchewan RCMP are warning the province about an increase in online sextortions, a financially based scam that is targeting youth around the province. Our Ben Lowan has more on the crime that has turned kids' lives upside down.
Social media is a popular thing for kids in this day and age. Many people use it to share their lives and interact with others. But this has also created a more accessible space for youth to get taken advantage of. In 2014, there were 50 sexual exploitation incidents per 100,000 people. That number has climbed to 131 incidents in 2020. The provincial RCMP responded to 931 cases last year, and they expect this year to pass 1,000.
This year, we're expected to surpass over 1,000 already. So we have seen that major increase targeting youth across the province. We have seen a huge increase in all genders between the ages of 13 to 16 years old. I attribute this probably to younger people having cell phones or access to tablets or laptops.
One of the most notable sextortion cases in Canadian history involves Amanda Todd. Since her passing in 2012, sextortion cases have been on the rise in Canada. But the situation has taken a turn for the worse since the pandemic. Cybertip.ca reports that they've seen an 88% jump in these cases, and these numbers continue to rise. 79% of sextortion incidents occurred on popular apps Instagram and Snapchat. And with all the chat functions available, one high school student understands how easy it is for people to become victims of these situations.
Absolutely, I do. I think it's way easier for people to get in contact with other people about these situations, and it's so easy to get influenced by the person texting you about these things, but just social media in general.
Student Avery Irvine has a friend who was a victim of a sextortion scam, and she's seen how difficult it is to navigate through those situations.
And knowing this person closely was it was tricky because in a selfish way, it was embarrassing. Not only for myself, but I know for a fact it was for that person.
Irvine also understands how these situations can affect different people.
It didn't really seem to affect him. It did for the first maybe week of when it actually happened, but afterwards it was I think it affected me more than it affected him, truthfully.
If you yourself are a victim or know somebody in a similar situation, it is suggested you report it to your local police or cybertip.ca. Immediately stop all communication with the suspect. Ensure the victim does not comply with the perpetrator's threats, and keep any messages between the victim and suspect. For Primetime Local News, I'm Ben Lowan.
A local charity had their annual benefit concert to help breast cancer patients. Our Leo Cruzat has more.
Hundreds of people gathered together to enjoy a night of music and charity in the annual I Love Alberta Boobs Rock for a Cure concert that was held in Lloydminster last Saturday. The Vice President of Charity, Terry Arnault, was happy and thankful for the support from the people in the border city.
I'm so happy that Lloydminster has come out for us once again. We've had this event now for 15 years, and every year we just are so amazed at how much Lloydminster supports us.
According to Arnaud, the funds that were allocated to the event will help the families and friends of breast cancer patients, such as travel costs and other bills.
When the economy kind of went down in Lloydminster, we had found that there was people that we were seeing that weren't really getting the money that they needed to sustain their lifestyle. Your drugs are covered, but travel isn't covered. A place to stay isn't covered. Bills aren't covered, and there's all that work loss. So we decided to keep our money right here in Lloydminster, where it would impact people that we know and we love.
The charity invited a local band, Black Buds, with Chronic Rock as the main performer. Deanna Black here with Chronic Rock told us how they got invited to perform.
Actually, we were referred by a mutual friend of the organizer, Brandy Schwenk, and we just hit it off in our first time, and we just decided to keep coming back every time she asked.
And with their 5th time attending to the event, we asked what makes them motivated to keep performing.
We really enjoy this cause because we've had people who have suffered from this. So to be able to give back to the community in that way keeps us coming back.
The event also had a silent auction that offers a variety of items, as well as a merchandise booth that sells t-shirts. All proceeds go directly to the charity. Even though the concert is over, Arnott said that you can still continue to donate to the I Love Alberta Boobs through their website. Lee Cruzat, Primetime, Local News.
Holy Rosary High School has many interesting classes and activities beyond the classroom that educate students in a unique and fun way. Our Callum Hawker went to the school and found out all about it.
Sports and education have gone hand in hand for many students across Canada, including this kinesiology class at Holy Rosary High School. Ashley Fullerton, the athletic director at the school, has taught this program to grade 11 students for the last 5 years and understands why students need new and exciting ways to learn.
Yeah, most of them are the kids who can't sit still in their desk during a day, so being able to teach them the science aspects through movement really helps. You can see their marks go up as well. In November, that's kind of our big trip. We go to Edmonton, we spend some time at the University of Alberta, we get to go to an Oilers game, they get to sit and do some of the fitness testing that like Connor McDavid does.
Since Fullerton started the course, many student athletes have taken part and get to present a sport of their choice, giving the rest of the class a chance to learn.
So we're doing rugby. I played in grade 9, started playing again this year. We're showing them how to throw a rugby ball because it's a little bit different than any other ball you throw in sports. Just like the basics, as we can't really get into too much with 15 minutes to do.
The other sports presented were softball and football, while the grade 11 class was able to master the art of blocking for your quarterback and hitting off the tee. Callum Hawker, Primetime Local News.
At Lakeland College, our students go beyond the classroom for immersive, hands-on learning experiences. It's about experiencing the real world.
Well, Callum Hawker joins me now, and we're going to talk about the weather a little bit. Callum, that snow flurries and a little bit that was on the ground this morning was kind of disheartening.
Yeah, we saw the flurries kind of go through all night, and then woke up this morning with some, a little colder weather, especially with those winds kind of, rising throughout the city here. And we saw that come in last night too, with those flurry temperatures and conditions as well. It warmed up a bit today, currently in the border city, sitting right at 0, but like I said, with those winds coming in at 32 kilometers an hour, it's making it feel like -7 here. And, at least we've had some sunshine throughout the day. And, earlier in the week, it was pretty cloudy, so nice to see some sunshine in the border city here. And as we look across the regions, we see some rising temperatures throughout Alberta, really starting up in Cold Lake, 1 degree there. Bonnyville, same thing, 1 degree. Lac La Biche is at 0. St. Paul is at 6. Marwayne is at 2. Vermilion is at 4. Wainwright and Provost both at 7. And then when you move even more west, looking at Vegreville and Edmonton, they're sitting at a nice positive 10 here. So as some warmer temperatures as you move more west in Alberta. And looking on the Saskatchewan side here, a little colder up in Pearceland, sitting at -1 currently. St. Walburg at that 0 spot. Maidstone at -2, while Macklin is at +5. Isle Lacrosse is at -3, and then all the way down in North Battleford here, is at -4. And then we take a look at tonight's forecast in North Battleford. A little warmer than what we've been seeing throughout the nighttime in days past. I think last week was around -20 being the low overnight, so it has warmed up a bit here, and it will be clear. But you are seeing those winds coming in at 26 kilometers an hour in North Battleford. And then North Battleford, a high of 0 tomorrow. It will be a little cold, but not too bad in North Battleford with some clouds coming in. And then Cold Lake tonight, we will see those flurries go out there as well, as it will be a low of -6. And then looking at tomorrow's forecast in Cold Lake, a high of -1. Going to get some snow as well, so that snowfall will go into the day tomorrow, and only 15 kilometer an hour winds there. And then tonight in Lloydminster, -9, rather cloudy, but you do see those winds die down to only 20 kilometers an hour, so a lot less windy tonight in Lloydminster. And then as we look at the tomorrow's forecast throughout the day, 6 a.m. Will be cloudy throughout the day, -9 when you start your day. At noon, it will go into -4. Freezing rain around dinner time at 6 p.m. at -2. And then midnight won't be as cold with only -5 temperatures. And then as we look at the 7-day forecast here, 3-day forecast, on Thursday, some ice will be coming in the afternoon, a high of -2 and a low of -10. On Friday, it will be a little breezier in the morning like we've seen this week, -3, the high, and -11. And then starting your weekend on Saturday, it will be mostly cloudy and chilly with a high of 0 and a low of -11. That's all for your first look at the weather report. We'll have some more news with Leanne after the break.
The Lloydminster Bobcats season has come to a close, and while it may not have been the finish the Bobcats wanted, it was still an excellent season for the club. This season had the Bobcats place second in the AJHL standings under new head coach Brad Riella, who really liked how his team looked throughout the season.
The will of the players. I mean, I think that, our second win in the playoffs, or even the overtime win, but that 4-3 win where we scored 12 seconds left, like that was a good, that kind of encapsulated what our team was to me.
The Bobcats also had the leading scorer of the league in Caden Cabana, who alongside Blake Setter and Ryan Redekop have now completed their AJHL careers.
Just being with the guys, it was awesome being with this group. Like, it was a great group to have. Our coaching staff was awesome. So yeah, just all that, soaking it all in, it was awesome for my last season.
Now the returning Bobcats will look to the off-season and preparing for the fall when the 2024-25 AJHL season begins.
Should be a good off-season, lots of training, and try to put on some weight for next year and have another big season next year.
Callum Hawker is back in now to take a second look at our weather.
Thanks so much, Leanne. Yeah, the story of the week has been increasing winds, especially coming to the border city, and that is the same tale today. We saw 32-kilometer-an-hour winds throughout the day, making it feel much colder, currently only 0, but with that wind chill making it feel like -7. So the winds are supposed to die down later this week, but a very windy day here in Lloydminster. And as we look across here in Alberta, Athabasca currently at 3 degrees, Edmonton being the warmest of the bunch at 10, Red Deer is at 5, Rocky Mountain House at 6, and all the way out in Whitecourt is at 9 degrees currently, with Edson and Jasper both sitting at the 7-degree mark. And as we look at the other side here, Meadow Lake -5, so a little bit colder in Saskatchewan, Prince Albert -2, Melford sitting at -3, Saskatoon at -1, and North Battleford at -4. As we look at Uranium City, -4 up there as well. Fort Chipewyan a little warmer at -3. Fort McMurray at -7. Slave Lake at 1. Grand Prairie is at 5. Peace River at 3. And High Level at 0. And then looking at Stony Rapids, -4 there. Walston Lake is at -6. South End at -5. Flin Flon at -4. And La Loche and Buffalo Narrows currently at -5. As we go all over to Coronation, 7 degrees there. Down in Medicine Hat, 5 degrees currently. Lethbridge at 4 degrees. And Calgary and Banff both sitting at 6 degrees. We look at Swift Current, 2 degrees there. Moose Jaw is at 3. Regina at 0. Over in Yorkton's at -6. And Estevan at -2. And as we look at North Battleford tonight, -9 there, mainly clear skies, with some clouds coming in. Only 26-kilometer-an-hour winds there, so still pretty windy, but not as windy here in the border city. Cold Lake, -6 as well tonight. There will be some showers and some snow potentially coming down in the later hours of the evening, but not as windy there with only 15-kilometer-an-hour winds. And then as we look at the travel forecast, Meadow Lake, it looks like it's going to, a lot of snow across these regions or areas here. High of 0 with some clouds and some snow. Bonnyville, a high of -2, 2 to 4 centimeters expected there. Provost, a high of 3 with just some clouds. Isle La Crosse, high of -2. It will be cloudy there as well. Snow, 2 to 4 centimeters. And then in Paradise Hill, a high of -1. When we look over into Murnum, high of -2 there. Still, the snow will pick up 2 to 4 centimeters tomorrow. Pierceland, a high of -1 with the same thing, 2 to 4 centimeters as well to be expected. Unity, a high of 1 with some snow down coming in the afternoon. And then Wainwright, a high of 1. It will be cloudy and cold there. It'll be cloudy and cold kind of throughout all these places that I just listed. And then Calgary will get some snow as well. Just a morning flurry to be expected out west with a high of 0. So will be pretty cloudy and snowy across basically all of these places tomorrow and then going into your long weekend. That's all for your second look at our weather report. We'll have some more news with Leanne after the break.
I am speaking with Mayor Craig Copeland from Cold Lake today. And Craig, it seems that there is a move afoot to maybe have the administration look at some changes to the city's smoking bylaw to allow smudging. What can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so we've had actually a few requests that certain buildings, that the city owns, for the ability to do smudging at ceremonies. So, we didn't have it in our smoking bylaw, so we're introducing it in our smoking bylaws to allow smudging when various groups are wanting it. We just need to, work with them on certain things like shutting off the fire alarms and all that, but. Yeah, so it's going to move forward.
All right. So has the actual piece of legislation been written or the amendment been written and gotten approval yet?
Yeah, we're going to move it forward, and we're allowed it now. And so, we have a lot of requests at certain times of the year to use like the big hockey rinks for big events, and then also at the FCSS building. We have a lot of groups that use it, the small meeting rooms. So the ability to smudge the meeting and that, we get probably a handful of requests a year. And so now we have it in our bylaw, and away we go.
Is this an attempt, I guess, at reconciliation with our Indigenous groups in the area?
Yeah, we want to work with the Indigenous community, right? So we just want to make it where it's permitted, right? So we just had to do some housekeeping, and of course, everybody wants to move forward and work on the reconciliation. So we have quite a few nations around Cold Lake. Certainly, Cold Lake First Nations are the largest, and sometimes they're holding meetings where the Cold Lake First Nations are there, and that request comes up. So now we have it in our bylaw, and just follow the protocol, and we should be good.
All right. So where can people find the details of that protocol?
Well, it's pretty easy. If they want to book the facilities for the city, and they want to say they want to do smudging, well, then the city staff will just give that to the various groups that want to hold their meetings, or sometimes book the field house or the hockey arenas, and they'll just work with the city staff. And the staff will give them the policy.
All right. Well, thank you very much for shedding some light on that for me, Craig. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery, downtown Lloydminster.
It's that time of the week again when Stephanie Dobson joins us. Stephanie is a lawyer, mediator, and online educator with Hankett Divorce Law and Mediation offices in Edmonton and, of course, in Lloydminster. Stephanie, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks again for having me as always, Stacey.
Well, today, Stephanie, we're going to talk about Clare's Law. This is something that's been in the news off and on for quite some time, but I guess we're just going to kind of refresh everybody. So let's talk a little bit about what Clare's Law is.
Yeah, thanks, Stacey. So this legislation, it's been enacted in both Alberta and Saskatchewan. It's intended to help people who feel that they're at risk of domestic violence to find out whether their partner has a violent or abusive history. This legislation, the background of this, it actually arose out of the UK, where a young woman named Claire Wood was murdered in 2009 by her ex-boyfriend, who was actually known to police to have a violent history. And it was thought that this if it had been enacted at that time, it would have possibly saved her life. It was first implemented in the UK in 2014, and then in Saskatchewan, it was actually enacted June 29th of 2020, and in Alberta in 2021.
So how does it work?
So there's three parts to this legislation. So the first part is called the right to ask. So this allows an applicant, so someone who's in that relationship, to ask the police about their intimate partner's domestic violence history. So that's the actual relationship, the person in the relationship. Then the second one is the right to know. So this actually allows the police from their end to proactively provide information to someone who they know is in a relationship with someone who has this history. And then the third part is what's called the right to privacy. So once the assessment is made that yes, in fact, that there is the information that's going to be disclosed, of course, we want to make sure that it's done only in a way to protect everyone's privacy.
So what are some of the things that people can find out about their partner through Claire's Law?
Well, the main focus of this legislation is on the prevention of domestic violence. So the information that people would receive would relate to the likelihood that they would be the victim of domestic violence. So under the right to ask, an applicant is able to find out, and under the right to know, that second part, the police is able to provide information only about the history of domestic violence by the intimate partner. So there's an assessment that's conducted on the intimate partner's history, and the disclosure that's made is only relevant to helping the person identify if they're in potential risk. So they would be able to find out things like history of domestic violence, stalking or harassment charges, breaches or no contact orders, and other relevant information.
Now, if it's determined that there is in fact a risk, what happens next?
So first, during the process, the applicant is provided multiple times with different social services information to get them connected with resources to help. Once the police's assessment is conducted, the applicant will meet with the police to get information about their partner's history. So depending on the level of risk, that may be either in person or by phone. So there will be a determination of the following: insufficient information, low risk, moderate risk, or high risk. And of course, there's many safeguards in place to ensure that this information is only used to help the applicant make a decision on whether to stay in that relationship or not. So there's not the ability for someone to use this for a divorce battle through the courts. It's only to try to save someone's life.
All right, Stephanie, well, thank you so much for joining me. That's great information and good for people to know a little bit of a refresher on what that is in case somebody unfortunately is in a bad situation. So thank you once again for joining us, and we will be back again next week.
Yeah, thanks, Stacey.
We're going to take another quick glance at our 7-day forecast here. Thursday, tomorrow, it will be a bit icy throughout the day. High of -2, low of -10. Going into Friday, high of -3, low of -11. It will be breezy in the morning, as we have had it breezy throughout this week. Starting your weekend on Saturday, high of 0, low of -11. Going into Sunday, high of 6, low of -6. And then on Monday, your Easter Monday, great day, high of 13, very sunny, low of 1. Same thing on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, maybe an afternoon shower, but a high of 9 and a low of -5.
And Callum, one of the most famous pieces of wood in Hollywood history has been sold for a rather hefty price at auction. The piece of wood that was big enough to save Rose but not Jack in Titanic has sold for more than $718 $100,000. The panel is usually referred to as a door, but the auction says it was actually part of the door frame from the ship's first-class lounge that was salvaged from the 1912 tragedy. The bid was the highest at the auction, topping an Indiana Jones bullwhip and the axe from The Shining.
That's a lot of money. I do love that movie. Granted, both movies. Indiana Jones was up there as well, but you know, there's some collectors out there that obviously really like these items.
Yeah, especially if it's your favorite movie, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, that is all that we have for you this evening. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a good night.